Hello and welcome to 10,000 Stitches Podcast, episode 25. My name is Andy and this is a podcast all about the joys of sock knitting. If you wanted to find me / this podcast elsewhere on the interwebs, I am on social media as Purlbug, Purlbug. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Ravelry. There is the YouTube channel for the 10,000 Stitches podcast. There is a Ravelry group for the 10,000 Stitches podcast. And then there's my blog at thepurlbug.com. Let's see, today's date is Sunday, May 22nd, and this video will be live on Tuesday, May 24th. And if you wanted to find links for anything that I mention, any patterns or anything like that, it depends on where you're watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, in the description box below will be a link to the blog post for this specific episode, as well as a link to the Ravelry group. And then on the blog post for this episode or the Ravelry thread for this episode, you can find any links below the video. So just not on YouTube. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon right now. So yay, Sunday recording instead of Monday. And I don't know, for some reason it feels like forever since I've sat down and recorded, even though it's been like less than a week. But I don't know, like, have you ever done something where it's a familiar thing, like you've done this thing all the time, but then all of a sudden like it just feels super weird and you can't, like, it just feels weird and like it's not working right? That's how I'm feeling today, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm now recording in a different backdrop than usual. So this is, I guess, my old backdrop that I used to use. 90 degrees that way, that's where the desk is, where I have been recording. But I'm sitting on the bed today because part of what I wanted to do today was go through my stash, because we're going on a trip this week. And I've mentioned this before, but my extra yarn is stored in my duffel bag, which I will need for vacation. So I have to empty it out anyway. So I thought I would go ahead and do a little show and tell, kind of show what's in my stash. And then that will force me to take it out of the duffel bag and put it somewhere else for the time being. Otherwise, the format is pretty much as per the usual. We'll talk about finished objects, works in progress, what's coming up next, the knit along, question of the week, and then that duffel bag stuff at some point, and then we'll talk about chit chat. So let's get into it. In terms of finished objects, I have none, which is kind of sad because, these lace patterns had been going so fast, and then this one is just not. So this is my work in progress. My work in progress right now is my Paragon socks, and these are being knit out of Cascade Heritage sock in, I don't remember what the colorway is. I don't have the tag anywhere that I can see, but this is what the yarn looks like. It's kind of this really beautiful, like steely blue gray color. And this is what the sock looks like. So this is still the first sock. It has just taken me forever. And I'm doing this, this is a 72 stitch sock on US size 1s, 2.25 millimeter needles. And this is what the pattern looks like. So it's a really lovely pattern. I mentioned this, I think, last week. I'm making these for my older brother, who's like the only person in my family that I haven't made socks for yet. And these are meant to be sort of like dress socks for him. So yeah, I have made it through the leg. Because they're supposed to be sort of like dress socks, I made the leg way longer than I normally do. And then I did fish lips kiss heel. And so now I think I am 16 centimeters from the back of the heel into the foot. And I actually am going to, I think, cut the yarn at this point and start the second sock. So I mentioned this before, I'm making this for my older brother. I don't have a tracing of his foot that I'm aware of. Maybe I do, but I don't think I do. Now I have to check. I don't think I do. So I don't know how big his foot is. And so, like, I can't obviously make them the right size. And I asked him for his foot size, and he never got back to me because he's like that. So I am going to, I think, cut the yarn here and, put this on some spare yarn or some spare needles and put it off to the side, and then start the second one and get the second one up to this point. And then he should be in town when I'm home next week, so then I can measure his foot and finish them up. But I'm doing that partly because, I want to have, I want to start the next one, but also because I feel like I'm playing a little bit of yarn chicken. I weighed these the other day, and I've made some progress since then, and I was coming up close on using half of this yarn up. And so that's obviously worrisome. And at this point, I feel like I've gotten to the point on this sock where, I can go and I can buy more of this yarn, but it may not be in the same dye lot. So if it is a little bit different, at least I've made it far enough on this one where I feel like if it was slightly different colored, you wouldn't see it because it'd be inside of a shoe no matter what. So I wouldn't feel quite so bad about using a different dye lot from here for the rest of the foot. So I think, I'm going to cut the yarn on this one, cast on the second one, and get as far as I can with what's remaining here. And then obviously I'll finish them up once I figure out how long his foot actually is. But like I said, this pattern is just kind of taking forever. I mean, I really enjoy it. Like, it's a really, beautiful pattern, and it's fairly intuitive. I feel like now that I've kind of gotten the hang of it, I don't need to look at the chart all the time anymore. So it's a good pattern and all. It's just taking a long time. I think because it's a lot of, knitting and purling, and so that just slows down my knitting speed a lot. But yeah, otherwise I don't hate it. I wish it was going faster. I actually didn't do any knitting on it yesterday because I was just getting so discouraged at how slow it was going. And part of that's just because I haven't been working on these as much as I maybe have with some other pairs. Because of like the way my work is, like I haven't had a chance to work on them when I've like during the workday at all. And so it just feels like I wasn't getting anywhere with it. So I was so annoyed that yesterday I just kind of like, crossed my arms and stomped my feet and got all upset and just didn't knit on them all day. I think I just really needed a break from them. So I took a break. So yeah, after this, I will probably cut that yarn and start on the next one. And I don't know, I'm hoping I will have them finished by the time, or at least, a good portion of the way done by the time we are home, but we'll see. So yeah, that's the work in progress. What's coming up next is the Piece of My Heart socks. And like I said, I will link all of these down below. Piece of My Heart socks, which are being made or will be made with this yarn from Plymouth Yarns, the Neon Now, those super bright pinks and purples. And so this will be the main part of the sock, and then these will be cuffs and toes. This is Cascade Heritage in the, I think it's like I think the colorway is Snow. It's this like creamy white sort of color. So yeah, that will be the next pair of socks. And then the next pair of socks after that will be my Longing for Spring socks, which I've been seeing some pairs of those in the finished object thread for the knit along, and they look so pretty, and I'm super excited. And I had been thinking about doing it with my Shears to Cat Designs Drunken Rainbow yarn, but having looked through some of the projects for that pattern, it just looks like it really stands out best with like a solid color or, a subtly tonal color, not Drunken Rainbow. So I think what I'm going to do those ones in is going to be this Cascade Heritage sock in the color 5660. It's this sort of silvery gray sort of color, and I think that will work really well. And it will help me use up some of the rest of this Cascade Heritage because I think this is my last skein of it. And like I said last week, I'm just not super impressed with the way the Cascade Heritage has been like washing and like wearing. So I'm kind of excited to be done with this and maybe find some other sock yarn that I want to use. Solids I feel like are just really hard to find. It's a lot of like the opals and regias, they're like self-striping yarns or stuff like that. And so I have a hard time finding really good solids or subtly tonal colors that aren't super expensive. The thing that I really liked about the Cascade Heritage was that it was, I think this was only $11 a skein, $12 a skein. And otherwise it's hard for me to find good solids in that price range. So if you know of any, let me know. But yeah, so that I think will be my Longing for Spring socks. And speaking of the knit along, we're now, well, by the time you're seeing this, we will, I guess we're not halfway through. I don't know why I was saying halfway through. I think I was thinking a week later in time. We're almost halfway through. I had written down in my little notebook, halfway through. So anyway, so we are almost halfway through, closing in on halfway through the knit along. And we have 10 finished objects, and a lot of them look really great, and I'm really excited about them. And yeah, I'm just excited to see kind of how it keeps shaping up. I think, maybe by next week or the week after, I think that number will really grow. I think we're definitely hitting the point where, if people who only maybe make a pair of socks per month, I think they will probably be finishing up lace socks soon. And so I'm excited to see that number really bump up soon, I hope. But yeah, I'm excited about it. They're all really beautiful. I mentioned this, I never really thought of lace as like a thing that you do with socks, but now that I'm seeing more lace socks and I'm knitting more lace socks, I love it, and I think it's super fun. And yeah, it's been really fun to see everyone else's lace socks. All right, so let's take a look at my stash, shall we? Yeah, I feel like this is a short episode for knitting stuff because I didn't have a finished object to talk about, but I think we'll make up for it here. So I'm going to kind of just pull things out of this bag. I'm also going to be grouping things together. I use these big freezer bags, and you can see this one's already been used before because it's all crinkly, but I just use these to kind of store yarn and separate yarn. So if that noise bothers you, I apologize, but it is what it is. Like, there's going to be plastic bag crinkling. And I'm going to be kind of resorting some of these things as we go along because I kind of like to sort my yarn by like type. So like, I have a couple skeins that are 100% superwash merino, so I'm going to kind of group all those together, things like that. And some of this yarn some of it I have bought, some of it has been gifted to me by, like family, like from Christmas still. Some of it has been gifted / destashed to me by wonderful viewers. And for one thing, I don't remember what came from who anymore because, I put it in the bag without the notes that came with it, so I could look back and figure it out. But another thing, I just feel like it seems a little bit boastful if I'm like, yes, this was sent to me by so-and-so. So I'm not gonna mention like that kind of stuff. So if you see yarn in here that you sent me, I really super duper appreciate it, and I'm super excited to knit with it. Most of the yarn that has been sent to me that I haven't knit with yet, it's because I have a plan for it in the future, and I'm kind of saving it for then. Like, I'm being like a little squirrel with my nuts, just hiding them for winter. But just know that I'm very appreciative. But I'm also not gonna necessarily like call out yarn that was gifted to me. Yeah, I don't know. That seemed like a long disclaimer, but I just feel like I need to say that. Anyway, so let's talk about stash. So first I have some yarn that's over here that's outside of the bag that I'm gonna start on. So I will just kind of go through show and tell and kind of organize as I go. So this bag is gonna hold yarn that's already balled up like this. So like this was my Plymouth Yarns Neon Now and the Cascade Heritage, which apparently I did not do a very good job. Oh gosh. I have little bits of loose yarn everywhere. Anyway, so this is that Cascade Heritage in the cream color. So that will go in there. I also have a little bit of this, this was the opal yarn that I made my Vita socks out of. So that, because this is more than just, actually, you know what? This shouldn't go here. This needs to go somewhere else. That will go in here because this is a ball of yarn that I need to make minis out of because I used it for socks in this knit along. So I'm going to group some of those things over here. I'm sure there's other ones that I need to make minis out of as well. But let's see what else. I have these guys. This ball of yarn is another opal, and this one I made a pair of socks out of forever ago. This one I made a pair of socks for my mother for Christmas with this ball. And this is really, I don't need to make minis out of it, and it's really too big for, or too small for, to make another pair of socks out of. So I think this bag will become, you know what, I'll just throw it in with my other scraps. So underneath my bed, which of course you guys can't see, I have a shoebox that's just full of like those kind of balls of yarn. So I think that's the only one I'm going to come across. So I just stuck that in there. Anyway, so then I also like these freezer bags because they also will fit skeins of yarn really nicely widthwise. So I also will be doing that. But anyway, so this is recycled silk yarn. This came with my bowl, my little yarn bowl from Darn Good Yarn. That I keep meaning to make something out of, and I just haven't yet, but I will. And this one will go, I think in here. I think this is going to be for all of the like sock yarns and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, so then let's see. This one is a skein of, this is a Superwash BFL nylon mix. The company or the dyers that it comes from is Friends in Fiber, right there. And the colorway for this is Nessie, and it's this really pretty variegated. It's showing up more blue, I feel like, than it is in real life. It's much more green in real life, but it's showing up very blue toned on camera right now. Yeah, so that's that one, and that one will go, where will that one go? Oh gosh. Oh, well, okay. That one will go in here, since this is something that will be made into socks. And then the next thing that I just pulled out of that bag, this is a skein of Mad Tosh, or Tosh Merino Light. This is 100% Superwash Merino, and the colorway is Esoteric. And this is this really pretty, like, sort of dark teal. And this one was given to me for Christmas, and I just haven't used it yet. But this one is going to go in the bag with silk yarn, because that's not really going to be used for socks, I don't think. That will be made into a hat or something. It's a little bit too nice for socks. So then I also have my Shoes Cat designs that I got at the Powhatan Festival of Fiber. That will go in with the green yarn. And this skein of the Cascade Heritage will also go in there. And I have room for probably one more skein in there. What else do I have that's a sock yarn? I don't think I have any other sock yarns that would go in there. Okay, so that's one bag done. Zip. All right, so now let's see what else. Oh, so then I also have a skein of, let's see, Wild Oak Yarns, which is from a dyer in Roanoke, Virginia. And it's this really pretty yellow kind of color, and the colorway is Sprinkles of Sunshine. And this is another 100% Superwash Merino, and it's a single. So this is another one. Oh, come on. Will you focus? Focus. Focus, camera. Gotta want it. Am I too close? There we go. Anyway, so again, this one is showing up much more washed out on camera than it is in real life. It's much more yellow. And this one is going to go in with the not sock yarns because, again, it's a single. It's 100% merino. That one is going to be special. Like, that's going to be made into a hat, I think. Yeah, so that's that. And then I have one more skein of yarn that should probably go in with these guys. And that is this one. This is a big skein of, this is, I think this is just 100% wool. It's Minnehaha Fiberworks. And Minnehaha is a, well, there's like Minnehaha Falls, which is in Minneapolis. So this is from a Minnesota dyer. It's this really pretty purpley brown sort of color. It's like almost like a lavender sort of color. And this one is a DK weight. I'm pretty sure it's not superwash. It's very rustic. So I think this one again will be a hat because it's not like next to skin soft, but I can definitely like wear it on my head. So that will go in here. And this one is, let's see if this bag will seal up. Probably not. I think I packed it too full. There we go. All right, so that is a full bag of not sock yarn. So that will go back there. All right, so now I have a whole bunch of smaller skeins. Let's see, I have a bag full of, how many is 5-ish skeins. This is all Patons Kroy in the FX and the Clover colors, which I've shown before. I love this colorway. So my only problem with these socks or this FX yarn is that I'm not sure how to do like join balls of the FX yarn because it's, you know, it's like a gradient sort of a thing, and so it doesn't necessarily repeat. So I don't know how I would do like a pair of socks that has more than one ball of this, because like I'd love to make it into a very tall pair of socks because it's so pretty, but I'm not really sure how to do that. So if you know how to like join things like this, or I feel like it's probably similar to Crazy Zauberball. I think this is like Patton's version of Crazy Zauberball. How do you join them when they have those weird non-repeating color patterns? But anyway, so I have a whole ton of that, and I actually think I have more. Yep, I have another 2 balls of that. So I'd really like to make these into knee highs for myself because I love this color, but I'm not exactly sure how, so let me know how to do that. But that is a big old chunk of my stash. And then what else? I have more Patton's Kroy in here. I have a whole bunch, or well, not a whole bunch, 2 balls? 3 balls? I have 3 balls and then a little bit more of the Patton's Kroy blue striped rag, which I think I've shown these before. I've never made a full pair of socks out of this. I've made like 1 sock out of this, and I'm not in love with it for me, mostly because I just don't love the colors. But I just realized that this might make good socks for like my little brother because he probably wouldn't mind it. So yeah. Anyway, so that's that. I have a whole bunch of that. And then what else? I have more Patton's Kroy in here. I have 2 balls of flax, which I think these go with the little cable knee high that I still haven't finished yet. So I'm pretty sure that these can't be used for something else, but I have 2 balls of flax. Is that all of my Patton's Kroy? It is. I thought I had more Patton's Kroy. Anyway, so that's all the Patton's Kroy that I have. And then I have 1 random little ball of my first Regia, which is just like a baby sock yarn, I guess. I think I have more of this somewhere. I think I have some more yarn that's being stored in the closet, so I think I have maybe more of this somewhere else. Then what else do I have? I have what's sitting on my lap, which is 2 balls of Knit Picks Felici in the Baker Street colorway. And so this is like grays and blues and browns. And I really love this. This is another, I feel like, very masculine sock kind of yarn. So if my older brother decides that he can wear socks that are superwash merino, I might make these into like a pair of socks for him. I've asked Wesley about them, and he doesn't, it's too colorful for him. Like he's really big on like the blacks or the browns or the grays. This is too much. But these will definitely become a gift for like a man in my life. Or maybe Wesley's father would like them. I don't know. But because they're such nice masculine colors, I would hate to, use them on myself when it's so hard to find good masculine yarns. So I have those guys, and I'm going to put them back in the bag they came from and put some other like 2 sets of 2 50-gram balls in there. I have another set of the Knit Picks Felici, and this is in the Madrigal colorway, which is greens and pinks and purples and oranges and blues. It's kind of a rainbow, but it's not really a rainbow. But I have 2 balls of that, which I'm not sure what I will do with these. I like it. I'm not sure what I will do with it because it's not really my color. So I need to find someone in my life who would enjoy socks in those colors. But yeah, I have that, and then I think I will throw this little guy in this bag and close that bag up. I really like to keep these things in resealable bags because 1, I think it keeps moths away, although I don't know if we have a problem with moths here. But 2, it just keeps all the ends nicely bundled up and makes it so that my yarn doesn't get tangled. And yeah, and it makes it easy to like stack them because like this way they kind of all lie in a flat plane, and then it makes it easy to organize my yarn and just pull out 1 bag at a time. What else? Let's see, in the bottom of this bag, I have the only sock blank that I have, which is by Gail's Art, and yeah, it's a rainbow sock blank. I suppose I can take it out of the bag. This one I have been saving because I really want to do something with it. I'm not quite sure what I will do with it, but like I'm saving this one for something special. But it's one of these really pretty rainbow sock blanks. And I think it's like double-stranded, so I will have to figure out how exactly what do you do with these if you're not planning on knitting your socks 2 at a time? Like, do you just like unwind it and then wind it back up as you go? But anyway, it's got these really cool stars on it. So I'm really saving it for something like special. I'm just not exactly sure what pattern I want to use. Or maybe it'll just become vanilla socks because, sometimes I feel like you just need vanilla socks and I don't knit a lot of those. So yeah, so that's that. And this one is kind of in its own bag because, as you can see, there's loose ends and I don't want to get them tangled around anything, and I don't want to risk accidentally like pulling them either. So that kind of lives in its own little bag so that it will be sealed off from the world, although I think I will just leave it like that because it doesn't necessarily need to go into a bigger bag. And then let's see what else. And then this is my last bag. So then in here I have 2 skeins of Drops Fable paint in the, let's see, colorway 162. I have no idea what colorway that is. It's these really pretty, it's like teals and turquoises and with a little bit of orange and a little bit of like pink in there. Really pretty. I definitely think that this would knit up into a good pair of socks, although obviously it will be self-striping. But yeah, I have 2 skeins of that, which cannot go in the other one because there's not room. There's a skein of Regia in the snowflake color. And this is, the colorway is Ski Mask, I guess. And that's, I think, what it's supposed to kind of knit up to look like. It's like another self-striping yarn. But it's like pinks and navies and whites. So yeah, there's that one. And then a West Yorkshire Spinners. And this is the only skein of West Yorkshire Spinners I've ever even held, I think. In the Signature 4-ply. And this one is, the colorway is, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of numbers here. I don't know which of those numbers is the colorway, but one of those numbers is the colorway. But it's like olive greens and blues and tan and a little bit of kind of like a rusty brown and white. So I'm pretty sure this again will be another like self-striping sort of yarn. But yeah, so, and that's it. That is my stash. So I know that seems like a lot of yarn. It seems like a lot of yarn to me. But then again, at the same time, it doesn't, because, I mean, obviously, when I went home last time and bought a whole bunch of yarn, I had a lot more than that. It seems like a lot because it fills up a duffel bag, but at the same time, like when I go through and I think about like what I'm going to do with all of this, it's not that much. And especially because let's see, I have this skein, which, I said I was going to use for my Longing for Spring. And then I have like these 2 skeins, and then I have, all the Patons Kroy and the Knit Picks and stuff, but I don't really have that much to go with what it is that I'm planning to do next. My next section of socks is going to be after the lace, which I need some more solid colors or subtly tonal colors for the lace. But otherwise it's going to be interesting construction next, which I'm hoping will let me use some of I'm hoping that will be a good chance to use more of like the Patons Kroy FX or like self-striping yarns, because I think self-striping yarns would be super interesting for those interesting construction ones. But yeah, I definitely need a good place to find more solids. Anyway, so let's wrap up the yarn talk. This has gone longer than I thought it would. Anyway, let's wrap up the yarn talk with question of the week. My question of the week last week was, what was your favorite home-cooked meal? And I got some super great replies for that. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that in my chit chat, kind of related to something that someone said. But my question this week is, other than where do you find good solids or subtly tonal yarns, my question of the week this week is 9-inch circulars, ? I've been seeing a lot of people using 9-inch circulars recently, like on Instagram and stuff like that. And I've had a pair before that I tried and I did not really get along with, but I know Xiaogu, however it is you pronounce them. I use their 24-inch circulars for my 2-circular method. I know they make a 9-inch circular that might fit me better, but I was wondering, other than just the adjusting to like how you hold it, just having so much less needle to hold on to, because I'm assuming that's just a matter of just retraining your hands. But if you use 9-inch circulars or 12-inch circulars, how do you do heels and toes? Like, do you just, obviously a toe eventually you're going to need to get double points or something else in there. But like, if you do, like a heel flap and gusset, does it get really ungainly with all those extra stitches on there? If you do like a fish lips kiss heel, do you have to like add in another needle, or can you just kind of keep going with the 9-inch circular? Because I've been thinking about picking up another one of the ChiaoGoo, either 12-inch or 9-inch circulars. But to me, like, okay, if I always have to tote around another circular needle or something with me, I don't know that really saves me that much energy. But yeah, anyway, let me know. If you use them, let me know. And if you have tried multiple kinds, if you've tried the ChiaoGoo especially, let me know what you think about those. Or if there's other ones that maybe I should check out, let me know. But yeah, that's going to be it for the knitting stuff. So if that's all you're here for, thank you very much for hanging out with me. And see you next week from California, probably. But if you want to hear a little bit about my week, let's get on into that. So this past week, let's see. I'm trying to think. So I recorded on Monday, so I'm trying to like not repeat myself from last week. But yeah, it was. So when I recorded on Monday, I had talked about how excited I was to be off of that elimination diet I was doing before and be able to like get to the gym and stuff. So I did go to the gym a couple times last week and, picked up heavy things and put them back down. And oh my gosh, I was so sore from it. Like Monday, I went to the gym and did, I only did 3 exercises, but I did squats. And it just like completely killed my legs. So I couldn't do anything for like the next couple of days. So I didn't make it back to the gym until like Thursday. And so I'm hoping I can go tomorrow. So, get there once at least again before we go on vacation. But yeah, otherwise this past week was, it was like a really productive week. Like some weeks I have weeks that are just really unproductive, and that always is a bummer. But thankfully this week was a really productive week. I'd mentioned that I was working on transcribing all these lab manuals that we have over into the format of LaTeX from Word. And I finally finished that. So other than a few tweaks maybe that need to get made, that is done, which is really great because so I didn't have LaTeX on my office computer, so I was lugging my laptop with me to work every day. And so if I'm done editing those lab manuals, that means I don't have to bring my laptop with me anymore, which is great. Partly because, I don't know if this is like a normal part of Virginia weather, but I'm used to like in the Midwest, there were obviously rainy days, but like it seemed like it would storm and then it was done raining, versus here, like there are some days where it just rains all day. And it's really annoying then when you're trying to bring a backpack back and forth to campus with a computer in it, because it's like, I don't want this to get wet. So I will be really glad to not be bringing my computer back and forth to work every day. Plus, it just means that like I'm finally done doing that and I can start doing other things at work. So so I had a really good productive week doing that, and I'm done. And like I spent Friday then actually kind of like really like honing in on some of the experiments and making sure that they work the way that I want them to, because I had a couple that weren't working right. And, it's like, well, this should work. Why isn't it working? And so it turns out, it was a matter of just tweaking some of the setups and stuff, and now they work really well. So it's really great. I'm super excited about that. So yeah, that was my week at work. And then otherwise, it's been a lot of like prepping for our vacation. I know I've mentioned this before, but we are going on vacation this next week. So our flight leaves super early on Wednesday. So I was trying to get some stuff done this weekend. We went to, Target yesterday and picked up, travel size stuff that we need, a couple things like that. And I'm hoping to kind of like even starting today, like we did a whole bunch of laundry this weekend. So today I'm going to start pulling some things out of my clean clothes that I know I don't need to wear either tomorrow or Tuesday, and to start packing them, because the more I can get packed now, the better. And, just the less that I have to worry about forgetting at 4:00 in the morning Wednesday. So my goal is to be completely ready to go by Tuesday night by the time I go to bed. And then, all I have to do is like shove my toothbrush and stuff into my suitcase, and then I'm done. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm really like ready to go on vacation. I really feel like I kind of need it. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. But that's basically been our whole week. We're trying to, really just get ready for that. And I'm trying to think of what else we did. Like I said, the week at work was pretty much just like head down and working every day, like working on finishing up those manuals, working on getting experiments working, which is good because now, when we go on vacation, I don't feel bad for being gone for a week. And then we come back and I'm trying to think of, we come back and then 2 weeks later classes start for the summer. So, that gives me about enough time to really, get the lab manuals, the last final tweaks made, get all that stuff ready, and then classes will start for the summer and like the class that I'm taking will start. So it's just going to be a whirlwind as soon as classes start. Yeah, so that's good. Yesterday was Saturday. It's just a lazy day. Like I said, I didn't do any knitting. We went to Target, like I said, and picked up some stuff. We had lunch at a place near Target. That was really tasty. I'm trying to think of and then I just relaxed. Like, I think I really just needed it. Like, after having such a productive week and using up so much brain power over the week, I just crashed yesterday. Like, I took a nap at 6:00 last night. I was like, I just have to close my eyes for 15 minutes before I can do anything else. So that was good. It was good to just have a day off. We watched the show, or we'd been binge watching the show on Netflix called, I think it's called Expedition Unknown. And it's kind of one of those Travel Channel shows that, it's this guy, and I think his name is Josh Gates, and he like goes looking at all these like old historical like legends and stuff like that, and like goes to supposedly where some ancient artifact was lost, and like it's very kind of like Indiana Jones-ish. But yeah, we'd been binge watching that, and we ran out of episodes on that, so I'm really sad because it was really good. And there was only one season up, unfortunately, and I really wish there was more because it's always so hard for Wesley and I to find good shows to watch on Netflix. So now we have to go hunt for a new one. But yeah, we did that, finished that up yesterday. I'm trying to think. I made bolognese yesterday, so that relates to someone's answer from the question of the week last week. Someone had mentioned that one of their favorite home-cooked meals was bolognese, which I actually just made for the first time this past week. And mostly because, so the one I made was a mix of Italian sausage and ground pork, because we already had the ground pork in the freezer because I'd bought a bunch when it was on sale forever ago, because I also use ground pork for my meatball recipe. I use a mix of pork and beef. So I had like a pound in the freezer, and I was like, well, I should get this used up. So I bought Italian sausage to go with it, and I made this bolognese, and I don't know, I'm sure it's not a very traditional bolognese, but this is how I make mine in case you want an easier way to do it. So I know I've mentioned before that we have one of those tiny little crock pots, like a little, I don't know, it's maybe a quart, if that, like it's one of those little ones that mostly the people use it to make like dip and stuff in it, but I love having that size of crock pot. I've had one of those since I was in college, because sometimes like the big crock pots, it just makes too much, especially when it's like just me and Wesley. That's too much for two people, and it's one thing like when you can make a lot of leftovers and stuff, but I find that like that smaller size works really well for us because it gives us usually one meal and then 1 meal worth of leftovers. So I had one of those. And so what I found is if you take that and you put in a pound of your ground meat, whether you're using beef or like I used a 50-50 pork and sausage mixture. So you put in a pound of your meat, and then you chop up half an onion and you saute that with like butter or olive oil, whatever you prefer. You cook that for a couple minutes until it's getting clear, and then you dump in some garlic and like, I don't know, I didn't measure it out. I just took a big spoonful of tomato paste and just plopped it in there. And you kind of stir that around and cook that for like a minute or so. And then you plop that in the crock pot. And then you take a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, and like fire roasted crushed tomatoes. Oh, so good. But you take that and you, we have like a mesh strainer that like I would dump it into over a bowl, and that gets out most of like the liquid, and then you dump the solids into the crock pot and enough of the liquid to make it like a stirrable, very thick sauce consistency. And then depending on how you've already seasoned your meat, you can dump in like dried Italian herbs, chili flakes, stuff like that. I did that when I cooked the meat. I dumped all that in with the meat. But so you put in whatever seasonings you want, and then you cover it and you cook it on low for like all day or all night. I did the first batch overnight, and that came out good. I did the second batch during the day yesterday. That came out fine. But basically you cook it for 8 hours on low. And then you have this great tasting sauce. That made enough for us to have dinner last night and then lunch today with that, plus the pasta, of course. And yeah, super easy. I had found a recipe that was like, oh yeah, you cook it on the stovetop for like 4 hours on a low simmer. And I was like, that's not going to happen. I have such a hard time cooking things on the stovetop when they need to be like at that barely a simmer stage because, well, for one thing, because we have an electric stove and I've always had electric stoves, and I feel like electric stoves are really not good for keeping super even, consistent heat just because of the nature of an electric stove element. And even in like a nice cast iron pan where it's like it will hold the heat pretty well, I just always have a tough time with that. And so the mini crock pot does a really good job of that. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. It worked really well. And that's probably how I will do like spaghetti sauce from now on because, it takes hardly any effort. I have to brown up the meat anyway. And it just feels to me so much healthier than like jarred tomato sauce because I always look at that and I'm like, why do you need to put sugar in tomato sauce? Like, why do you need all this stuff that's in there? It should just be tomatoes and herbs. So, and this kind of just proved it to me. Like, I didn't notice that there wasn't sugar in it. So yeah, just tomatoes and herbs. But yeah, so that was super exciting. We just had that for lunch before I sat down and recorded. So my tummy's all full now, which is good. So yeah, that's about it. I'm also going to try and start vlogging. I think I had mentioned this the other week, but I especially want to do travel vlogs for like when we're in California and stuff. But just in general, I thought it'd be fun to start vlogging a little bit. Partly because, like my family and Wesley's family doesn't live here and it's, they've never even been out here. So it'd be fun to kind of be able to share with them like a little bit of like, hey, this is what our life is like out here in Richmond. And just, that kind of stuff. So if I recorded some today for one. So if I get that edited and put together and have the courage to upload it, I will for sure link that down in the links so you can check it out if you're interested in seeing all these things that I tell you about. But yeah, otherwise I think that's going to be about it. And I know Wesley wants to take a shower and the bathroom wall is like right there. It shares a wall with the bedroom, so he can't do that while I'm recording. So I'm going to go ahead and call it here for today so he can go take a shower. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. Like I said, next week I will be coming to you from California, so hopefully it will be nice and sunny and glorious weather. It's very cloudy and gross here today, so but anyway, I will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.